We've been getting warned about these celebrities in our community for years. Decades now, to be exact. Malcolm X warned us in the 60s, but in my personal opinion, Dick Gregory articulated it the best for me about 5 years ago.
The filthiest people on this planet is athletes and entertainers, okay? You, with this show, have done more for the humanities than 99% of all the athletes and entertainers on the planet. But they've even tricked you to believe that you ain't nothing but doo-doo and they something big. They ain't nothing but a piece of shit, man. All of them, a handful of them will break through, like Ali. Handful of them will break through.
Right.
Prior to November's election, to which Joe Biden was elected President of the United States, numerous black celebrities made it a point to leverage their influence within the black community to get black voters to go out and support Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Now, you had some, like Amanda Seales, who took an extremely bizarre approach at getting black voters to support them by telling black Americans that voting is not about policy, but simply about getting Trump out of office. Now, logically, we all know that this doesn't make much sense, because if you're not voting on the basis of policy, then what exactly are you voting for? But nonetheless, this was her talking point to get black Americans to throw their vote behind Joe Biden.
Listen, the reason why we need a black VP is because in order for this person to win, Joe Biden, black people gotta vote. And the reality is there is nothing exciting about Joe Biden that's gonna make black people vote. We need a sister. That's it. It's not any deeper than that. I know a lot of y'all are super smart. You're super informed. You're gonna be like, but Amanda, don't but Amanda me. It's very basic. In order to ignite the voter base that needs to be ignited, we need to have a candidate that they can relate to. This is not about policy and pontification at this point. It's really just about marketing to the constituency that we need in order to, at the very least, get us in the very best place to reverse all the fuckery that got down to get us in this place in the first place. I just said place a lot.
But on the opposite end of the spectrum, you had those who were a little bit more polished and held in high regard, who were selling black voters on the talking point that once we get Biden into office, we were going to hold him accountable. Now, this talking point was a little odd as well, because how do you hold someone accountable who literally told you they weren't going to do anything for you? But nonetheless, this is what black Americans were sold on. And the two biggest proponents of this message was Diddy and Charlamagne the God. Now, what makes these two so significant is that as it pertains to holding Joe Biden accountable, the fact of the matter is that these two men quite possibly have the two largest platforms that speak directly to black Americans. Diddy is the perceived owner of an entire network on cable television that we all know as Revolt TV, while Charlamagne is the figurehead for the largest hip-hop platform on YouTube. Their audience combined is massive, and whether you like it or not, these two have the ear of a large segment of black America. So now, with all of this being said, why isn't Charlamagne and Diddy holding Joe Biden accountable yet? We've watched Joe Biden sign executive orders for the Asian community, the Hispanic community, as well as the LGBTQ community. But he has yet to sign one for the black community that put him in office. Meanwhile, Diddy and Charlamagne are nowhere to be found. Black Americans, and to be even more specific, black farmers, were literally left out of the American Rescue Plan. Now, did Diddy and Charlamagne make a big stink about this on their networks as they should have? Nope. They were silent.
And 49 senators voted against us being in the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package. 49 Republicans voted to have us stripped from that bill. What does that say about the condition of America's in this time of race? 10 amendments by 10 different senators to remove us. Out of all the things they could look at in that bill, they picked on black farmers. Someone who's faced discrimination since we've been in this country, from slaves to sharecroppers, to Jim Crow, and to freed men after the Civil War. We earned our right to be in this country, and we should be treated with dignity and respect. And that's what this is all about, people.
And don't start talking to me about how the Republicans are the ones that removed them out of the American Rescue Plan, because while the Republicans were removing you from it, at the same time, Kamala Harris was holding a public meeting with the Black Chamber of Commerce, selling you on how it was a good thing. While the Republicans were removing you from the American Rescue Plan, Democrats were selling you on how great this was going to be for Black America. My goodness, look at Satan work. Stop talking to me about Republicans, because I know how Republicans get down already. My problem is that I just can't seem to convince Black folks that the Democrats are equally as demonic. Understand, it is impossible for people to be conquered without members within their group selling them out and selling them short. Charlamagne and Diddy are complicit in the execution of benign neglect towards Black Americans, and please don't you ever get it twisted that just because you see one of our titans like Dr. Claude Anderson on The Breakfast Club, that this now means that The Breakfast Club is riding for Black folks. You can't have Dr. Claude Anderson on The Breakfast Club, and then once he leaves, you tell me to go vote for a candidate that is literally telling me to my face that they're not going to do anything for me by way of legislation. Meanwhile, they have legislation lined up for everybody else. Understand, the only reason you'll see a Dr. Claude Anderson on The Breakfast Club is because the left wing of the dominant society allows it so that they can gain political clout with you just to have you vote against your own interests come election time. They'll have the late Dick Gregory on one day, and the very next day they'll have Angela Rye selling you on how immigration is a Black issue. You see, the left wing of the dominant society does this regularly. They'll have our good brother Reza Islam on ABC one day, and the next day ABC will release a whole 1-hour special making you the face of anti-Asian racism.
Even though no hate crime charges were filed, some in the community blame the tension between Black people and Asian Americans.
I think they targeting to the Asian American community.
We need the Black community to realize that Black people are hurting Asians, and they need to speak out in their own community.
Meanwhile, we have someone like Diddy, who apparently owns an entire network on cable television, and he has no response in terms of his own 1-hour special to combat the foolishness coming from ABC. Now, I do want to make one thing clear. I have no issue whatsoever with our good brother Reza Islam. I was simply making a point on how wicked mainstream media is. The same mainstream media that now apparently has propped up Charlamagne as the national spokesman for reparations. He's on Late Night with Stephen Colbert talking about reparations. He's on CBS News talking about reparations. He's on The Hollywood Reporter talking about reparations. He's on HBO talking about reparations. And the reason that they keep having him on all these major platforms talking about reparations is because they know that he does not know enough to actually make a convincing and compelling argument for it. Just go watch him on HBO with Bill Maher. It's about a 5-minute clip, and Charlamagne's whole argument on reparations was simply that it has to happen because it has to happen, because it'll be crazy if it doesn't happen, because it just has to happen. What? Your whole argument is just repeating over and over again that it just has to happen? You see, it's horrible arguments like this made on mainstream media that has us in a position to where you have articles being written up by The Hill that states this in their article titled, "Union-Owned Banks Back Reparations for Black Americans." The largest union-owned bank in the U.S. declared on Wednesday that it backs reparations for Black Americans, becoming the first major American bank to do so. Amalgamated Bank announced its support for H.R. 40, a bill that Representative Sheila Jackson Lee has proposed that would create a commission to study potential reparations for Black Americans. The union-owned bank said in a statement that although it is the first major U.S. bank to back the bill, hopefully we are not the last. And I quote, and this is a direct quote coming from this bank, okay? Listen clearly. H.R. 40 is a basic first step to move the country forward in building an equitable economy to create opportunity for, say it with me now, all people to thrive and meet their basic needs. I thought we were talking about reparations in HR 40. How is this a great first step for all people to thrive? Who is all people? You see, now a lot of times when I point that out, people feel like I'm being nitpicky, but the language being used matters. And if you don't believe me, go ask Dave Chappelle about how much language matters when he was trying to get his contract fixed with Comedy Central, who pretty much owned his life. The language being used is very important. There is absolutely no reason for this bank to be talking about all people. Who is all people? I thought this was about reparations in HR 40, but I digress. So now in closing, we've been getting warned about these celebrities in our community for years. Decades now to be exact. Malcolm X warned us in the 60s, but in my personal opinion, Dick Gregory articulated it the best for me about 5 years ago.
The filthiest people on this planet is athletes and entertainers, okay? You with this show have done more for the humanities than 99% of all the athletes and entertainers on the planet. But they've even tricked you to believe that you ain't nothing but doo-doo and they something big. They ain't nothing but a piece of shit, man. All of them, a handful of them will break through, like Ali. Handful of them will break through.
Right. And we're going to close it out right there with the late, great Dick Gregory. So with all that being said, thank you for watching today's video. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. All social media links will be pinned in the comment section below. Make sure you text tdhiphop to number 33222. That's tdhiphop to number 33222. That way you'll get a direct text notification whenever I release a new video, but it also serves as a protection plan for myself in case YouTube ever gives this channel the axe. I'll be able to send you a direct link to where you can find me next. And last but certainly not least, for those of you who have been subscribed to this channel for quite some time now and have a love and appreciation for the work that I put in on this channel, the number one way you can show your support towards me is through Patreon. For only $3 a month, that will help put me in position to be able to take TD Hip Hop Media off of YouTube. Remember, the goal is not to grow big on YouTube, but to grow independent of YouTube. And until the next video, peace.